What is up, you guys? My name is Elias and I love movies. The reason I've always had a lot of respect for John Carpenter as a filmmaker is because he's one of the filmmakers that doesn't necessarily make films for that studio paycheck. He makes films because he has the love and passion for filmmaking, for sharing a story. A lot of his fans know that and respect that, because whenever he started his career, he did everything himself. He wrote, he directed, he produced, he edited. Just about everything that you saw in his movies, he had something to do with. And not only did he do all of those things, but one of the things that he did, which he has openly admitted, is writing the music simply because he didn't have the money to pay somebody else. That's something I like to call a happy accident. 1, 2, 3.
Guerra Movie House.
So like I was saying, John Carpenter is very respected for a lot of the films that he has done. Of course, his popular films are like Halloween, Big Trouble in Little China, Escape from New York, The Fog, They Live, and one of my personal favorites, The Thing. He's definitely one of those filmmakers that no matter what film he's making, he pretty much always has that independent feel to it, because that's pretty much how he started his career. He literally started his career out of nothing, and it really didn't matter, because if he wanted to get something done, if he had a story in mind, he would do what he had to do. He is definitely a special type of artist, because not only does he direct his films, but he also writes, produces, and edits, and does a lot of other things that he never gets credit for. He literally has his hands on everything that is happening with the film. He has been writing and composing his own music for his own films since the beginning of his career. And the reason that happened was because he didn't have the budget, he didn't have the money to pay someone to write the music. So he decided to do it himself. And of course, I know this isn't going to surprise you, but yes, it came out pretty good. And he's pretty much been doing it ever since. I'm really sorry if it feels like I'm rambling about his career just a little tiny bit. I simply cannot help it. John Carpenter decided to release an actual album. An album with 9 tracks. And I believe it came out like 2, maybe 3 months ago. I should have done my research. But whenever I listen to an album, I don't know about you guys, but every time I buy new music and listen to it, I like to listen to it from beginning to end without any interruptions. And why it took this long, I have no idea. But this past week, I finally got the opportunity to listen to it, and that's exactly what I did. I put it on and I listened to it from beginning to end. Okay, the album has 9 tracks, and as soon as it starts, the first track just feels like an awesome intro to an epic film. If I had to give the whole entire album a theme, it would definitely be like a horror sci-fi sound to it. But on top of the horror and sci-fi sound, it has this suspenseful feel and theme throughout the whole entire album. And even though the album has 9 tracks, it pretty much sounds like one very long song. I can't really figure out if that's a good thing or not for me personally, because there were a few moments around the middle of the album where it sort of felt like they were being a little bit repetitive, and also felt like it was dragging just a little tiny bit. The best moments of the album are definitely around the beginning and around the end, especially the last track, which is my favorite. But I can't really complain about the whole entire album sort of having the same sound and sort of sounding like one long song, because the whole album does feel like John Carpenter. It's definitely an album that any John Carpenter fan could enjoy and will like very much, because it does sound like a soundtrack to one of his films. It has that horror vibe with a very suspenseful and thrilling feel throughout the whole entire thing. The reason I think it sort of feels like that is because even though there's different tracks and the music does slow down and speed up, it pretty much has the same rhythm throughout the whole entire thing. Not just with the first track, but throughout the whole entire album, you feel like there's a story there, because it does have one simple flow, so it feels like there's one story that should be behind all of this. And I guess that's sort of part of the beauty about it, the fact that he made this album with his son, and because it's not attached to anything, any fan of his films could most likely create their own film in their head, which is sort of what I did. You honestly can't help it, because it just feels like a soundtrack to one of his films. Overall, I think it's a great album. I've heard it 3 times now, and I can easily picture myself listening to it again. Like I said, any John Carpenter fan that is a fan of his films, and of course if they're a fan of his films, they know that he is responsible for the music of his films, which is why I say that any fan of John Carpenter will enjoy this album. And of course, because I'm a few months late, you've probably already heard it. But just in case you haven't, I highly recommend you listen to it. If you're not a John Carpenter fan, then I'm surprised you made it this far into the video. If you guys have heard Lost Themes, please leave your comments down below and let me know what you thought about it. And also let me know what your favorite John Carpenter film is. If I had to choose one, which is kind of hard, I would most likely choose Escape from New York or The Thing. Escape from New York is such an awesome, fun film that pretty much defines badass. The Thing is simply amazing. It's definitely what I consider one of the greatest remakes of all time. But as always, thank you guys very much for watching. Don't forget to leave your comments down below. Like the video if you like, subscribe if you want to see more videos, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.
Thank you for watching Guerra Movie House. Like, comment, and subscribe for more videos. Peace out, homies.